welcome to the 500 Workshop. Today I'm going to try and replace this on the car, which is the indicator and light selector on the steering wheel. Now this is new old stock, so I got this recently, and the reason why I got this is because the one on the car currently, the headlight switch seems to be a little bit broken. You have to really kind of wiggle it and jiggle it to make the connection. So managed to get hold of this to replace the one on the car, but the first thing I'm going to do is switch the ignition on the car and check that all the steering column switches, indicators, that kind of stuff works before we move forward, so we know we're in a good known state. So I've used the ignition to check everything. Everything looks as though it's working okay, although I think I might have a little bit of a dodgy bulb on our driver's side indicator at the front here, because it seemed to flash a bit too fast, and then without the bulb coming on, and then the bulb came on, it looked okay again. So you might just need to pay attention to that. I've also got here a wiring diagram of the F, which this model is, and all the connections coming off this, so we can try and understand what these are and where they should go. And the first thing I'm going to do is try and label this up so I know which connection is which and what it does. So to illustrate what I've done here, here's the wiring diagram, and each one of these colours relates to a particular colour of wire, and each component is numbered. So for instance, we have here the main kind of cluster on the steering column, and that's 14, which says the change over switch for lighting and flashes, which is fundamentally the majority of what we're changing. There's also, we're changing the horn and number 12, which is direction signal switch and horn button. And so following each of these lines, what I try and do is say there's a pink line going from 14, which is this switch, to the fuse box, which is number 4. So then I take my wire and I label it up. Let's see if we can get a nice focus on there, which says pink 14, 4 to 14, sorry. So I know that 14 is this object, but 4 is the fuse box, and I know that then needs to go into the fuse box. So what I can try and do is find the corresponding wire for the one that's in the car at the moment and switch it out, and also label it up as I go so I know where it's going back to, and that hopefully will give me a clear idea of to make sure that I've got all my wires in the right place. So for instance, let's just zoom in a little bit on the fuse box here. Let's see how close we can get to the fuse box. Just going to adjust us here a little bit more. So just here on the fuse box we have this cable here. Now I can tell, although grubby, it is pink, and it's going into the fuse box at this point here. So I know when I come to replace, the pink one has to slide back in there, and what I can do is just label up on the fuse box exactly where it goes, so I don't make any mistakes or errors. And what we're going to do as well along the way is just take a huge amount of photos so we know where everything is, as well as filming. So I labelled all of the different bits up, and without putting this on the actual steering column for now, I've just connected it all, because what I want to see is if it works or not. So I labelled up all the old wires, connected the old ones to the new ones so I know where everything goes. Now I'm going to try and just separate these wires because I don't want them to touch. I'm just going to do that with some paper to hopefully get in between all of these and make sure we don't get any shorts. So that should take care of those ones. Then we've got 3 others there. I'm just literally just trying to keep all the wires apart. So that should do that. Now we can connect up our battery again. Just screw my car disconnect on and switch on the ignition and see if we have anything working. Okay, we have an indicator already, which is good news. Okay, so that's off. That's the other side. That's good. Let's see that the headlights. Okay, so currently got no headlight coming on. That'll be because I haven't actually switched it on at the dash, which I still need to do. Okay, so I've got headlights coming on, but only one main beam at the moment for some reason, and I haven't got side light coming on over there. You can't see that, but down that side. So it's much better than it was by the looks of it, but I still need to try and understand why these bulbs are not coming on. Right. Okay, so after a little bit of effort and I think a bad pink connection, we've got it wired up and we've got everything working, so everything matches the colours nicely. The next thing we need to do is take the horn off, take the steering wheel off, and then try and fit the new stalk onto the steering column. So we've taken our steering wheel off, and now we need to take this unit off as well. Okay, so I'm also going to take the binnacle off here, and this just should pull off. Sorry, it doesn't pull out. It is actually 2 clips either side, one here, hopefully you see that, and one on the other side, and that's where it's held in. So I need to just move this out the way a little bit so I can see what's next. Can it go this side? Don't want to scratch anything. And then it appears that this is held on by this bracket, so looks like 13 nut and bolt. So what I'm going to do is undo that and see where we get to. So now got 2 ratchets on each side. I'm just undoing this 13. Do no damage, there we go. Nuts stuck in that side. And the bolt doesn't look as though... no, yep, it will come. Just needs a little bit of encouragement. There we go, it's come out now. Let's just put the washers and stuff back on. Try and get this nut out. There we go, nut's out. So that's the bolt we just removed, which holds the steering column on. Now if we can pull this down slightly, which I thought we'd be able to do. It's going to come out. So with a bit of force, we now have this out, which is good. Trying to clean up. It's a very, very small hole that the wires have to go through, and it's got this rubber grommet that looks like it's seen better days, to be honest with you. But I don't have another one, so I'm going to try and save it as best I can. Hope it doesn't split as I try and take it off, but I've got a feeling it might. Or at least when I put the new one on. Oh, sorry, when I put the wires of the new one back through. Let's try and get most of the small ones out first. Okay. Okay, I mean, it's out. I can't say I'm delighted with it. In fact, it's cracking as we speak. Okay, so with just a soft plastic hammer, I managed to knock this bracket off of the old one. And now we need to put this new one in, and I think it's going to go something along those lines. So the cables are split into 2 halves. Need to separate them. Need to put the cables through one of the halves. Goes through. The long ones are going to be slightly annoying. More difficult to get through here. And do the long ones and the short ones at the same time is not the easiest thing. Okay. Right. Doing the other ones on the other side. And this whole thing is well engineered, but very, very tightly packaged. Wouldn't take much to trap a cable in the wrong place. I've not knocked it on too far because I've looked at the other one. The other one's slightly longer than this, so I just want to make sure that it all goes where it needs to go. So I won't put that on all the way, and I can always adjust it to go through. Now, do I feed the wires through? or do I put it on? If I don't feed the fires through first, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get them through, but if I put it back on, is there actually going to be room enough to do it? I'm going to have to put it over slightly at least to start. Right, and before I put it all the way in, I think I'm going to try and feed these wires through. Right, so we'll start with the long ones, put the long ones through first. There's a hole in the dash and I'm just passing the wires through, or at least attempting to, trying to get the long ones through first because they seem to want to crawl up. Okay. Right, so that's the long ones being fed through. Now we need to get the short ones through. And this is going to be a slightly trickier job. There's stragglers up here. Through. Which one's this? That's not gone through yet. I actually think they've all gone through. Right. Move the binnacle slightly out of the way again, and we're going to try and reverse what we did before. Come on, so close, so close. Just make sure nothing's trapped. Try and tap the metal rather than anything else. Bit concerned about the steering wheel and how much room we need to leave it to put on. I guess I could do a test fit. To come back a little bit still. Try not to damage the wires. to do it. Right, okay. I think that's just about where it needs to be. Okay, so now I'm tightening the bolt that holds it all together back up. Want that nice and tight because I don't want the steering wheel going anywhere, but I don't want to over tighten it so it ruins the thread.